Oh, darling, please believe. Hey, everyone, how are you doing? Just kind of jamming to the Beatles. Love it. Yes, indeed. So how are y'all? Hope y'all doing good. And welcome to Thursday, and glad you're here. Just speaking favor over all of us. And I hope you're having fun today. Thank you to all the moderators who are watching. Much appreciated. Y'all just do a fabulous job, and you keep the energy high, and wow, the favor and the love flowing. So hello, Infant Frequencies 6111. Good to see you. And Emperor Rex and John Price. Hello, Pamela. Lewis, Twisted Isby, how you doing? Hi, Susie Q. Much love. Diana Reeves, hello. David Barry, how you doing, my friend? Hey, Julie Ann, how are you, my dear, from down under? Man, so many people here. Chloe, good to see you. Hillard, good to see you. Fantastic day. It is, if it's your birthday. Hey, happy birthday, man. You made it. You're here. So you're doing a good thing, as they would say. Nothing wrong with that at all. And anniversary, same way. You know, as weird as this existence is, and as convoluted as it is as well, we can counter a lot of that just by our own magic and our own power. Laughter, laugh in the face of pain, laugh in the face of danger. You know why? Because you overcome it. If you have a problem with thoughts, are you what they call a wizard of worrying? Do you worry a lot? Well, what you're actually doing, good friend, is that you're manifesting. You're a wizard at it. The problem is that you don't have faith in your ability to reverse that, to invert it, to transmute it. If you ever get to that point where you are, you're going to start manifesting your own utopia right here. And since our existence individually is measured by the individuality of our bubble, that's what it is. You can make your bubble whatever it is. Just don't pop it. Hey, Truth and Me, how are you doing? Matt Hatter, good to see you. It has been a while. I know. Hey, listen, you've got to learn to laugh. It'll heal you. It will. Every time you may feel something, and, I know there's people out there battling attacks on their body, but if you start laughing at it, again, powerful magic. It's magic. Oh, great day. I tell you, the energy is phenomenal. Tonight on the Steiger Perspective over at the artistverse.com location, tune in. Going to be talking about, it kind of follows what we're going to be talking about today, secrets. And this one is the zombie apocalypse. And I conclude with the theory that it's not the flat earth you need to be worried about. It's really the earth inside the earth. Tune in. 8 p.m. Mountain Time, 10 p.m. East Coast, and wherever you are in the world. Thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow night, going to be doing a special show. I don't, typically do evening shows, but hey, listen, you can't get so much into a rut. Going to have Chris from the Forbidden Knowledge channel, Forbidden History, I think it is. And Chris has always got some interesting things. Our world is in flux. The flux capacitor. That's what I'm talking about. The flux capacitor. I want one. Want one in my car. And baby, you can drive my car because, yes, we're going to be a star. Probably a star up there named for us already. Who knows? Hello, Robin. How are you doing? I'm having problems with streaming. Got weather here. Well, I hope it's not too inclement. Hey, listen, with the energy that this group generates, are you serious? Does not surprise me. So we're going to conclude on our whole expose on the, again, follow right in the secret. Probably finish that up tomorrow because I want to take a little diversion today because it kind of shows something. Man, you know, we're an arrogant species. If we think it can't be done, then it can't be done. And woe unto the one who says it can be. Oh, well, that's just absurd, you know. We live in a reality of secret of secrets. Now, I know that this book has many different books behind it on the title. You know, has an Islamic spin to it. I don't care about religion. There are millions of me's, like-minded me's, others that we've had enough of it. And we're tired of the right side against the left side against the upside against around the right side. You know, and it's all upside down. But what we have to deal with is the fact that we're here. We don't know how we got here, but we're here. And I contend, you'll hear me say it tonight again. Listen, folks, if man knew his beginnings, there would be no need for religion. None. But you see, everything is a secret. How many of us remember as kids, grew up with siblings, brothers or sisters? I got a secret, you know, and I'm not going to tell you. And, you know, it's, we grew up with that. And what we failed to remember, it carries over into the adulthood of this reality. Isn't it odd? Adulthood, childhood. What's the hood? Are they hoodwinking us? Don't know. Sounds like they could be. And as you go traipsing through, the great thing about truth seekers is that once we get past our own internal fears, then, you know, reality is a smorgasbord. You can go and just look at the buffet and say, I think I'm going to have a little bit of this. And you look at that and you go, what is that? You know, if you never tasted it, you're suspicious. So you'll taste a little bit of it. Hey, man, that's pretty damn good. So you add that, and what you find out is a new truth. And you bust secrets. But hear me out on this. Our reality is based upon secrets. Look at the Vatican. The Vatican is built on secrets. Every politician, every government is built upon secrets. You know, the old expression, what skeletons do you have in your closet? Secrets. Secrets have been used to manipulate, betray, subdue, subvert, pervert individuals against their will because their fear of the secret that someone else has shared with them. You know, when you get into very intimate relationships, you start sharing secrets. As Jimmy Buffett said on his A1A album, if these walls could talk, all the stories they could tell. And isn't it the truth? As a former road warrior, stayed in more hotels and what have you, and I'll tell you what, every time I put my head on that mattress and what have you, I'm thinking, oh man, if this mattress could only talk. Yeah. So it's secrets. That's what it is. And it's as a matter of fact as it can get. So let me show you something. I came across something that was most interesting. Again, when you start pouncing through, I like to go into the CIA archives. It's always fun to go there. You do the same thing with the Pentagon. I mean, you got the Freedom of Information Act, and there are more documents available than I think most people realize. In fact, I think that's part of the plan, is that they just inundate us with so much information. And then the one that supplied us the information and said, well, this is the real information, they're the ones who then come back and say, well, no, we're just kidding. It was actually, that was all fake. It's all disinformation. Don't pay any attention to it. And so when you finally buy into that one, then they come back and they hit you with the next wave. Now you don't know, well, is it real or is it, So I came upon something that I found so interesting, and it's not conspiracy theory. It's not far fringe. It really is happening. It happened, and it's still happening. So I love this. The people who know aren't talking, and the people who are talking, they don't know. So everything is connected, no matter how we get away from it. You can't get away from it. It's all connected in some form, some fashion, some way. And I think for even the ones who are seeking after truth, trying to say, all right, what the heck is going on here? We're understanding it's connected in more ways than people know or understand. It's true. It's real interesting what really happened. I mean, are the Asgard here? I don't know. But something continues to revolve around this. So we got a story here today that involves Iraq. Now, little history. Back in 2002, I think it's 2004, maybe. Yeah. Shock and awe. So here we are. We're taking Saddam Hussein down. We're going to do what Bush Sr. wouldn't do because of the treaties we had. So he let his son do it. And what many have known in the truther community is that our special forces went in before the cruise missiles started flying. And at the exact moment the first wave of cruise missiles came in, it was the perfect decoy. It was the distraction that they needed. We know the special forces went into, I think it was a total of 3 buildings, one being the Museum of Antiquities in Iraq, in Baghdad specifically, and it's rumored that there were 2 others. They went in specifically for something. It's rumored that they may have found I know this sounds bizarre, but artifacts that were weapons, powerful weapons. There is also what they discovered in Iraq was an entrance to a cave. And this cave system led into the most remarkable discovery. This is a story that also concerns Romania. In fact, we're going to learn today, and I don't know how far we'll get into it, but no matter how far we do, it's going to be fascinating. The relationships, once the discovery of the other tunnel was discovered in Romania, by the U.S. Special Forces again and intelligence. There was a covenant made between the United States and Romania that is still in effect today. In fact, because of this covenant and because of the discovery of the technology, Romania was elevated to sit in NATO. And you go back and you can look at diplomatically, and it's been so quiet. You don't hear about Romania. You don't. And it's very interesting because even the Romanian government admits to what we're going to be talking about. Now, this also has to do with Egypt. All three of these locations are actually directly connected. Yeah, this gets very interesting. I often wonder about Edgar Cayce. I really do think I think he was right about the event. I think he was wrong in his location, and you'll see what I mean. So we're talking about the Sphinx. Everyone knows this. This also is evidence of pole reversal, by the way, because the Sphinx was underwater at one time. And this has to do with the Romanian Sphinx. Now, as you can see, this is highly ritualistic in Romania, but so is the Sphinx in Egypt. Now, this is what they call a natural formation of nature. Okay, we know the other one was built by something. We presume humans. And you can see the two differences. You can see how they could see this. Now, what's really interesting as we continue to go down this path is that, Edgar Cayce, he said that there would be a vault under the Sphinx that would contain large amounts of information, knowledge lost. Now, I was following Edgar Cayce back in the mid-70s, and it was always, one of the things that we watched were what archaeologists were doing in Egypt, particularly where the Sphinx was concerned. Did they find this vault? No one that I have heard has said that they have. However, in a certain location, they did. Now, there is a massive tunnel complex in the Romanian mountains that has been, heavily viewed with UFOs, with the people that live in the locality. And what's really strange is that when they discovered these tunnels, they weren't made by us. Man. The one in Romania is the one that was particularly a shock, literally. We had a number of U.S. military personnel that died. And what they found inside the one in Romania was what they call the hall from the inside of the mountain that includes what they have now determined called the projection hall. This is a technology that is beyond man. There's an energy shield. We're going to read about this. And these tunnels go all the way over to Iraq, down to Egypt. Here is a drawing of these tunnels. They weren't made by us. They were made by someone bigger than us, much bigger than us. But nevertheless, what they discovered in there was amazing. So we get into this story, and here's another one. As you can see, the semi-spherical energy barrier is what it is. And it was real interesting. This is actually, as you can see, from the Department of Romania. I think you may even be able to go over there and take a tour. I don't know that for sure. But as you can see, the monuments that are on top of the mountain, the Sphinx, and then those, Babili, which again, heavily, the energy fields there are off the scale, folks. So this is, by the way, it seems like this knowledge has been known. The Hindus knew about these tunnels. They knew about apparently these energy fields. I don't know. This is a look, and I have the PDF on this if you ever want it. It's a fascinating read. I mean, it really is. So if you were able to look directly down into the mountain, this is what you would see. Again, the Romanian government is not bashful about it. They give you the dimensions, everything else. It's quite fascinating what they found down there. We're going to read as we get into the story. Something is still going on here. As you can see, when you get into this core, right, you have a tunnel that goes to Egypt. You have a tunnel that goes to the inner earth. Yes. And then you have a tunnel that goes off to Tibet. In here, you have a holographic projection dome that displays images from mankind's history. It's a golden yellow surface on the square. It's quite amazing material. The amorpha, it contains dust of, are you ready for this? Monotonic gold. There's a filmy semi-cylinder that contains a device designed for amplifying thought energy. You have this support platform. You have stairs that you go up. Then they had two devices whose functions have not been identified. And there you have these T-shaped tables that actually contain the holographic projection. Now, they tell a history that is unlike anything I think many of us have heard. But when we hear it, there's pieces of this that go, hey, wait a minute. So this is from a short book called The Secret of Secrets. This is the Bucegi Mountains Secrets. It's quite fascinating when you read this. The story goes that he first got introduced to this back in 2012. He was reading through, as you can see, when I pulled this out because it's quite fascinating indeed, through some post, and in one in particular was a rather mundane. I was about to leave the thread when I noticed a link and just clicked on it. This link opened up to the most amazing and incredible research journey I've ever been on. Since January of 2012, I've been researching something incredible, and I now reveal this bizarre, and it is a bizarre story. What I read was so incredible that I spent the first few months trying to debunk it, because if it were true, it would change my views on everything that I have learned. No matter how hard I tried, I simply could not debunk it. The reverse was happening because I kept finding confirmation after confirmation of its validity. Daniel once said to me that I'll never find the truth online, and he was almost right. When I first discovered it, there was only 2 websites talking about it, and trying to find them were almost impossible. This was hidden deeper than anything I've ever seen before. So buried, it required an incredible fluke of luck to find it. And have you ever done when you do a Google short or wherever Oracle you go in a search, try to go to the very last results. That's many times where they bury it. Anyway, he said, I was given this information to a small handful of researchers, and I've spoken to many people who lived around and I think I'm saying that right, the Bucegi Mountains. The researchers have all found their own confirmations, and the people around Bucegi all talk of events, historical and present, that happened there. Things that entire villages have witnessed or discovered. What this document will hopefully show you is what I have found and some of the connections. Although what I have discovered was regarding Romania, it is very strongly connected to the Giza pyramids, but especially the Tibetan mountains and Mount Kailash in particular. I have terrible trouble verbalizing what I know. I have found dozens of references to this discovery in ancient texts and even the Bible. I grasped the idea, but then forgot the words. I am absolutely positive that the locations do exist, and I believe that much of what has been said about what inside is in fact true. I've enjoyed debunking conspiracy theories, and I don't classify myself as a conspiracy theorist. I am a free thinker and a truth seeker. Without letting go of old beliefs, this document would appear completely crazy. But I ask you to really think about how much of our history do you really believe is true? And do you believe that perhaps there are many things being hidden and not told? The truth would set the world free, but there are plenty who never want to lose control because it is total control, folks. It's about fear. We all can dig that. So this is what they discovered. I want to make sure I got it all. Yeah. So a summary of the discovery in 2003. There are 4 primary tunnels and further subtunnels that lead to deeper and bigger places, which you have heard, but about with different names. In these tunnels, you will find rooms, huge rooms, with huge tables and stone chairs for people much, much taller than us. The projection room contains all of our history and can be replayed visually. A table where you can perform holographic experiments with DNA, mix and match anything you wish, and see what the results will be. Holy crap, really? These rooms were created 50,000 years ago, and each is connected to each other, protected by an energy source which activates all as one is activated. The locations are near the Sphinx in Egypt, Baghdad, Mount Kailash in Tibet, and the Bucegi Mountains in Romania. The inner tunnels lead to a secret world under the Gobi Plateau in Mongolia and to Antarctica. The connections, this connects to World War II and the German-Tibetan expedition. Romania being fast-tracked into NATO, Hollow Earth, the eye above the pyramid, and more. Since the declassification of the new ground-penetrating radar 2 years ago, the most staggering data has emerged of a complex and a labyrinth underground systems in various parts of the world. At places like Guatemala in South America. In South America's tunnels have been mapped under the Mayan pyramid complex at Tikal, which extend a full 800 kilometers to the opposite side of the country. Investigators remarked it was possibly to understand how 500,000 Mayan Indians escaped the dissemination of their culture. Very interesting. So what happened in Romania? Ground penetrating radar. In 2002, the Pentagon was running several military and geodesic programs using satellites based on above technology. The satellite spotted a particular structure located inside the Bucegi Mountains. And as you can see, there is the diagram. The satellite scan of the mountain revealed two major energetic blocks. The blocks were made of artificial energy. The first was connected to a wall blocking access to the tunnel. The second was huge, like a dome or hemisphere, at the opposite end of the tunnel, near the center of the mountain. Bucegi acknowledged that there is something extremely important and was very well protected. The people from the Pentagon couldn't understand why the tunnel turned in a sort of zigzag patterns towards the central zone of the mountain, nor the significance of the 26-degree angle of the construction. The structure was in a parallel plane with the ground, and the semi-spherical energetic blockage was situated on a vertical corresponding to the ridge rocks called Bucegi. Actually, as our measurements based on the Pentagon data showed, the vertical was coming out at approximately 40 meters from Bucegi, between it and the Bucegi Sphinx. Now here's where the story in Iraq gets interesting. A similar structure in Iraq. Signor Bucegi led me to understand that the elements of the internal artificial structure from Bucegi, and I think I got that right, would not have particularly attracted their interest had it not been for the fact that their representatives from the Pentagon had noticed that the semi-spherical blockage had exactly the same frequency and shape as one from another secret underground structure that they had discovered just a few months before, somewhere near Baghdad. Due to reasons I don't know yet, which the venerable Bucegi hasn't revealed to me, those in power were extremely interested in the secret data the military espionage satellite had registered in connection with the strange energetic structure from Iraq's underground. Shortly after the discovery, the war started, and the Americans, with total secrecy, had access to the area while the Iraqis didn't know a thing about it. Bucegi said that no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't penetrate the energetic wall, but he didn't give me any more details. The whole operation was top secret. He stated that what was there was connected to our planet's mysterious past, but in a certain way with the history of their organization as well. Bucegi also said that what was there was information about the planet's mysterious past and the history of their organization. When the Pentagon investigation noted the similarity of the data between the underground structure near Baghdad and the one from the Bucegi Mountains, Bucegi was suddenly very agitated. Initially, they almost panicked. The panic was due to the fact that this structure, much larger and more complex than the one from Iraq, is on Romania's territory. Note, it seems that Romania has a very important mission in the years to come. Above the Bucegi Mountains, there is also an energetic pyramid. Its shadows can be seen twice a year, which has a protective purpose and also keeps safe the true knowledge that will be revealed to everyone when the time comes. Don't know when that time is. Mancini provided the correct plan to reach the tunnel, as it has been calculated by experts in the Pentagon. The breakthrough was possibly close to 60 to 70 meters from the first energy barrier on the side of the mountain. Mancini promised ultra-sophisticated U.S. military technology to achieve breakthrough into the first energy barrier. Their first attempts going through the barrier cost the lives of 3 soldiers who had cardiac arrest as they tried to walk through it. It was a vibration frequency a problem, I said, amazed by the spoken words, the calm by which the words had been spoken. Caesar looked at me surprised. Exactly, he confirmed. Looking for a solution, I closed my eyes and focused on the energetic barrier. Shortly, I felt that it actually was alive, but in a very special way that I couldn't explain to those present. I felt that between me and the barrier's energy was a certain compatibility, something like a reciprocal sympathy that I had successfully passed the personal vibration test. I couldn't stop asking myself what kind of exceptional technology and spiritual development had those who had established this genuine frontier of energetic checking, which present science can't even conceive of. Wow, they can actually check your vibration. Whoa. Never mind about actually achieving. I then took a few stones from the ground and threw them towards the invisible energetic barrier. As soon as the stones touched the barrier, they were transformed into a fine powder that fell on the ground, forming a straight line. Danger, Will Robinson. I was now looking at the amazed faces of the American officials and a few members of my team who were still on the other side of the barrier. I went to the wall and pressed the triangle from the perfectly finished stone square. The one that you are looking at now, they'll show you here in a second. Actually, it was enough just to touch it because it doesn't move. It's fixed. Only it's immediately started to glide smoothly and almost without any noise until it stopped in the position as it is still in. That was the moment when all of us saw for the first time the Great Gallery. It was a moment of intense emotion. We were shocked that it was just lit, just conventionally light source that we know of. They didn't know what was going on. I mean, this had to be a far out experience. Later, I did more experiments, especially after we precisely marked the area where the energetic barrier acted. General, and I think this is Obadiah, came and touched with only one finger the invisible surface of the barrier. And even if nothing seriously happened to him, he still had a feeling of vertigo, and nausea. The presidential counselor was violently thrown to the ground, even though the contact between his skin and the barrier was very light. He removed from his experience later under a doctor's supervision. I bet. After that, no one else wished to try going through the energetic wall. I can see why. The 3 soldiers who died probably had a simultaneously contact with a bigger surface of their body that was lethal to them. The problem is that people cannot stay in the invisible barrier for too long. This is the invisible barrier between the closed gate and the energetic wall. Those who can't go through it can't stay there for too long. We tried with a few soldiers, and after we closed the gate and activated the energetic barriers, they told me that they felt like they were suffocating, and it became more and more acute. We therefore had to leave the energetic barrier as well as the gate open. But as you have already seen, we placed 2 guards and we installed an alarm to prevent any unauthorized access to the Great Gallery. The iris identification system resets itself after 5 seconds, which is enough to cross the entrance line into the gallery and beyond the gates gliding system. Great diplomatic tensions. I got back to the base as fast as I could and entered the American room, where I was also received by General Obadiah. Caesar continued to tell me an unpredicted element occurred that ruined all the plans, ours as well, as Senor Massini's was saying. One, the Romanian press leaked something, I guessed. It was something even worse than that. Do you remember that the vulnerable one told me about the discovery they had made next to Baghdad? That there as well was an energetic barrier that couldn't be breached, but was identical with the semi-spherical shield that surrounded the big hall from here. I nodded. The American discovery was not accidental, but followed certain indications from the same military espionage satellite that also revealed the data of the approximate map of the structure inside the mountain. Caesar continued. Well, the American counselor on the national security issues got an ultra-secret fax in which he was informed that the energetic shield from Baghdad suddenly activated and started pulsating at a great frequency. The amazing information was that a hologram appeared in front of it, gradually showing Europe, then the southeast of Europe, then Romania's territory, then the Bucegi Mountains, and finally the location of the inner structure within the Great Gallery's corridor and the semi-spherical energetic shield that was strongly pulsing. It was obvious that the two energetic semi-spherical shields were directly but mysteriously connected, and that the activation of one of them led to the activation of the other one. Who knows? Maybe there is a network of these kinds of underground structures all over the world. The bad news was that the U.S. presidency was informed of these events and made diplomatic contact with Romania through the secret services. In just a few minutes, the whole operation had been uncovered. The imminent arrival of a state commission from Bucharest had been announced to come and evaluate the situation. I was so absorbed in listening to what Caesar was telling me that I had not even realized that I had stopped walking. We had about another 100 meters before the last turn, and the light from the energetic shield reflecting on the great gallery walls was now much stronger. This is far out stuff, isn't it? Did they want to take over at a political level? I think this was the initial order, but things got even more complicated when they actually saw what this was all about. My fear came true because our politicians, the ones that had the right to be made aware of these aspects, panicked. It was obvious that they couldn't face the events and that the decisions were going to be made under an advanced state of stress. General Obadiah was called to Bucharest. It was a critical moment, which put at stake even the existence of Department Zero, or at least of its independent structure. The general had to justify the eluding of political power. Well, he had hell to pay on that one. Before leaving the capital, accompanied by those from the commission, General Obadiah talked with me, and we both decided to reveal all the aspects, intrigues, and plans of the last year, including my relation with Senor Massini. The most difficult problem was to find exactly the right people to make that crucial, important report to, because otherwise all of our intentions and plans would have been revealed, and the repercussions could be fatal as far as well-being of myself and the general was concerned. The same could be said for the national security. Meanwhile, I was stuck at the base, all work having come to a halt. The American team had been isolated in a tent and the tunnel's guardian was taken over by the Army Special Intervention Troops. The diplomatic tensions were rising because Washington pressured to have contact with the Pentagon's general and with the presidential counselor. Back then, no one knew what was in the big hall that was protected by the energetic shield. Any initiative or research operation had been stopped. No one was allowed into the base except for the guard patrols. The new situation was coordinated by two top generals from the Romanian army who permanently maintained contact with the highest political structure of Romania. In this entire extremely intense situation, the only one who managed to sneak outside the base, following a very special order coming from Bucharest, was Signor Massini. I haven't seen him since then, but believe me, I fully felt his influence in the way things unfolded afterwards. And I am referring here to the mute but very fierce fight between the Romanian and American diplomats, as well as to the nature of the political discussions that was taken in connection with the operation here. Everything happened very fast. Just 8 days passed since those events. If I am here, and you, as far as I understand, managed to get inside the projection hall, this means that General Obadiah was successful in Bucharest. Caesar mysteriously smiled. Mostly the answer is affirmative. The success was mainly bringing everything to the right people's ears, people with great moral integrity who are also animated by profound patriotism. The National Defense Supreme Council asked for an emergency meeting. Most were shaken by what they found out. An intense wave of approval towards the general and his activities was then spontaneously created. They immediately decided to continue the research under the exclusive command of the general and me. However, the diplomatic crisis had not yet been resolved yet. The American military were allowed to leave the country the following day, but the team of researchers and specialists, as well as all logistics and devices, were kept here. We then thought that things were settled, and I was almost glad that they had happened the way they did. That way, I did not need to pretend or give in more or less to the vulnerable member of the Masonic elite. Unfortunately, their force of influence and the pressure they exercised through diplomatic channels was huge. Is this not intriguing, folks? I don't know about you when I'm reading this. I mean, I feel like I'm reading, a Tom Clancy novel, but this apparently actually happened. But wait till you find out what was going on here, why they're all freaking out. We had researched the end of the hall where it turned left suddenly, this time for 4 meters only. The sight in front of our eyes was truly grandiose. The gigantic arch, the energy shield formed, was a splendid, radiant blue, continuously crossed with intense, bright white flashes. Although Caesar had mentioned that the projection room was isolated from the exterior by a gate, like the big gallery, one still could not see anything inside through it. The hall ended suddenly in a huge room dug into the mountain like a hemisphere. There was no more than 7 or 8 meters from the end of the hall to the energy shield. The arch created by the energy shield was included in the hemispherical cavity, but I noticed that the area behind was common to the rock wall. I estimated the level distance between the shield's arc and the room ceiling about 10 meters, so about 33 feet. The magical light produced by the energy shield was being reflected in wonderful sparks and shades on the rocky walls of the mountain. The beauty and the grandeur of the picture seemed extraneous, and my heart started with such emotion and joy. I could dig that, seriously. How did you manage to get inside? I asked Caesar, affected by the intensity of the feeling that the image gave me. It is much simpler than you would expect. The ones who planned the whole assembly probably considered the first energy shield to be a real touchstone for the possible entrance, estimating it was enough for the whole structure's security. I have to admit they were right. Nothing could pass the first energy shield unless it was a superior and profoundly beneficial consciousness. Even in case of an atomic combustion, the assembly was very well protected by the mountain. Maybe that was the reason the big gallery started suddenly deep inside the mountain. I cannot say, though, how they technically created it. When I received the new orders from Bucharest, I was very happy. I sensed the fight was just starting, but at least I had important political support and from the leading politicians too. The same day I entered the projection room, you see in front of your eyes, I was alone as I found out the terrible mystery that had remained hidden for 50,000 years. You can hardly imagine the feeling I had in those moments. There are some aspects I cannot tell you, though. Wow. We're not going to finish this today, but yeah, this gets into it. Let's continue on. I've got some time here. We had reached the end of the hall where it turned left suddenly, this time for 4 meters. Did I already read this? Oh, yes, I did. I just didn't see that. I hit the button, but the button didn't advance. I said, you mentioned this number of years before. I interrupted Caesar. So how can you tell that this is the right period of time since all of this has been here? It was the result of further scientific examination of some data they offered that you will also see after we enter the room. Uh-oh, this gets interesting. All of the events I described to you have occurred since last week. Many of them happened very quickly, and the changes of situations were dramatic sometimes. I'll tell you everything here before we enter the room, as you will be thrilled at what you see. We stopped at the line of demarcation between the big gallery and the gigantic hall inside the mountain that held the hemispherical energy shield. Fascinated, I was listening to Caesar while I was watching the exotic sparkles of the blue surface on the hemisphere. After the decision to continue the research under the Department Zero's management, I entered the projection room several times and cataloged everything, working together with our team of specialists. The next day, however, the first contradictory signals appeared from the political powers. The orders that had followed, one after the other, revoking each other, were either strong or evasive and showed the extents of the big tension. I suspect that there was the drama of a real battle. I had already sent over the secure phone line the results of our discovery in the projection room. Apparently, that was the spark that lit the bomb. General Obadiah told me 2 days ago, after he came back from Bucharest, that the members of the Supreme Council of Protecting the Country were in continuous meeting and keeping in touch with us. After talking out the issues beforehand, they decided to make this tremendous discovery from Romania's mountains known all over the world. General Obadiah was part of the Supreme Council for Protecting the Country's structure, and his word counted a lot in favor of the declaration that Romania was to make to the whole world. He told me that there was some members of the Supreme Council that were strongly against it, but they were in the minority. The emotions got so high that at one point, those people stood up and left the room. The president's advisors were continually coming and going, transferring information from the external diplomatic relation officers to the council. So I think I'm going to break it off there. I think that what they're going to find out here in, give me 1 second, folks, as he gets out of this, is this. Yeah, and I only have about 20 more of those slides. It tells the story you're not going to like. Yeah, creators, not so much in the history, and it apparently shows what's going to happen. And if you like it, hey, let me know. We'll finish it up. If you want the story yourself, just email me and I will send it to you. The projection room becomes very intense. I will tell you this. I'll give you a sneak peek. Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. He literally, as he is before this, I don't know what the hell you want to call it, this recorder of our history, us, that he was there at Golgotha on this crucifixion. But it's not what it was portrayed to be in the story. And the interesting thing is that as he was seeing it, there were beings from all over the universe that were apparently witnessing this. So thank you, Marguerite. It's fascinating. I mean, the intrigue, it's like you're reading. And the thing about it is, go back and look at the Romania-U.S. relationships, folks. It's like this. I mean, it's tight. If NATO was ever to be dissolved, the United States would probably ensure that Romania stayed protected. Who knows where, if other countries have this technology. Let's see what's going on here. Communism and capitalism are both on the path of globalization. Yes, I agree. Please finish this. Okay, Susan, we'll do this. It'd be cool if it was past lives. You're going to find out something on this. Hey, David, thank you. Yeah, of course you can have a copy of this. Everybody has. And folks, I've got 3 other humdingers. Next week, make sure you have your cameras because we got one. I'm telling you right now, I'm doing experiments with what I've read in the document because I want to put it out for all of us that when we go through this, so you can see what I have been doing and see if we can see any tangible results. So camera, get ready. Fascinating thing. Let's see. We know this story. Well, maybe, maybe. Who knows? If you've read the document, you probably have an idea. But yeah. All right, folks. Y'all are the best. You're just very, very beautiful souls. It's just a privilege to be around you all. Hello, Lois, Cajun Queen Tarot. Good, good. You know what, Lois? I think you'll enjoy this particularly. This is some far out stuff. And so little pretense to this, I was telling my wife about what I was going to be doing. And of course, she's looking at me going, okay. And what she says, and what exactly are you expecting? And I said, the unexpected. And she says, well, no doubt we'll probably find it together. So, hey, seek and ye shall find, right? I guess that's how it goes. Truth in me, just simply email me. Hey, it's down there, steigerrwayne@gmail.com, and I'll get out as soon as I can. And so we'll finish it. Well, we won't finish it up tomorrow, but we're going to get into the meat of it. Going to get really into this. And then, yeah. And I'm going, okay, so this is one of those secrets. Next week, I'm going to be doing another story on something, folks, I'll guarantee most of you have forgotten. And I'll just close it with this. It has to do with Jade Helm and Walmarts because it's connected to this too. Yeah. Anyway, tune in tonight. I'll talk more about this for sure. All right. Well, thank you, Little Evan. Welcome. Thank you to you. Thank you, Big Fred. Yes. Well, the strange seems to be attracted to me. And it's cool. I mean, it really is. Hey, if you don't go with a sense of awe and wonder, just think about when you pass over to the other side. I mean, that's going to be some awe and wonder, no doubt. All right, folks, much love to you. Peace. And we'll talk to you definitely tomorrow. Tune in if you can over the artistfirst.com. All right, babe.